Greetings and welcome to another fun episode of Photoshop Party. Today we're going to be talking about, what did I say we're talking about again?
Templates.
Templates. No, not templates. We're going to do something else today. Yeah, we're going to be doing templates, how to use them, et cetera, et cetera. And Happy New Year to everybody. Glad you're here. And we'll see what happens. So here we go. Let's go ahead and share screen. I'll do desktop just for fun. And I'm in Bridge right now. This is a template that I use for high school seniors a lot. Cabrillo High School was black and gold for colors. So obviously I made a template out of black and gold. I'm going to open it up real quick and I'm going to save a copy of it. So open, Command-Shift-S, and save it as card front 1. Minimize all the people here that are blocking everything so I can see what I'm doing. Close it, don't crop, go back to Bridge. Now I have card front 1. And why I did that is I'm going to make a template out of card front 1. And you're going to go, well, PSD file is a template, right? No, we're going to make it a PSDT. It is now a template format. And you'll get this pop up every time until you click on Don't Show Again. Changing a file's extension can change the opening behavior or render it unusable. Are you sure you want to change it? Yes, I do. And the reason why I made a backup is in case it made it unusable, I don't have to worry about it. But now it is a template file. If I tried to save it, go back here, open it up, Command-Shift-S to save. If I tried to make it a template file here, it doesn't exist. There is nothing in there for a template file. So that's why I had to do it the way I did. So when I open the template file, double click on it, opens in Photoshop, and you'll notice the title of it is Untitled 1 with the name. And the reason why it's Untitled 1 is when I go to save it, I'm going to save it as whatever name I want to give it once I complete and finish it. So that's why I changed it to a template file. How many people knew about that? Did anybody?
Not I.
Winner, chicken dinner. I won one. Ha ha. Okay, let's go into my Africa book. I am currently putting together a book right now for some friends that have been begging. I'm not doing a full run yet. I'm going to talk to people about that later on, but I want to do something like this. Open. And it is 11 inches by 8 inches. This is what the company requires. So instead of doing a Command New 11 by 8 each time with black, adding all the pictures to it, I'm going to do a file so I can do this really easily. And the fastest way to set that up is Command New. We'll start with the new one. And it has to be, 11 inches wide, 8 inches tall. I'm using black for my background content. Adobe RGB 1998. Everything else is pretty much standard. Click on Create, and I have a new file. Perfect. I need to add 4 pictures to it and make them all nice and pretty and concise together, etc. So we'll go to View, New Guide Layout. View, New Guide Layout. Why did that disappear? There we go. And this is what I had set up. 2 columns, 2 rows with a 1/2 inch gutter all the way around, and then a 1/2 inch margin, top, left, bottom, right. So everything is 1/2 inch all the way around. Really, really easy to do. So you want 3 rows? Fine, we'll do 3 rows. Now you got a weird looking shape there, but that's not going to work for me, so I'll go back to 2. And as you change it, 6 columns, as you change it, it shows immediately before you even hit the OK button. You have the preview. You can turn it on and off. So let's go back to 2 columns, 2 rows, 1/2 inch gutters, which is basically the gutter is in between each of the squares that we did. And then your margin on the outside is a 1/2 inch all the way around. Click OK. So I can drop the pictures in there and have them work just fine. Or what I can do is put placeholders in. Go into rectangle tool, or you can go to the frame tool and do the same thing. I use the rectangle tool because it shows me where it's at nice and bright. Rectangle tool, draw corner to corner, dragging it. And my properties should show up, but they didn't. Why is that? Why are you doing this to me? Okay, let's try it again. Go to the frame tool. Oh, I was in the frame tool, no wonder. Let's go ahead and go to my shape tool and we'll do rectangle. And you can do oval, you can do just about anything. My fill, I can make it any color I want. So if I wanted to make it red so it really stood out, I could. And you can see it made a nice rectangle there for me. Rectangle 1, we're going to change that to top left. And we'll draw in rectangle 2, which is top right. I even spelled it correctly twice in a row. I'm impressed with myself. And I have it set so it snaps to grids, so it automatically hits the grids where I want it to. Bottom left. And last but not least, we'll do bottom right. And how often do I actually name my layers and be organized and all that? Well, to be honest with you, not very. So I have these all set up now, and I clicked on top left because that's the first one I'm going to work with. And what I'm going to do is go back to bridge, go to my bird pictures, and I'm going to give my happy bird here. Right click on him, go down to place in Photoshop. And you can see it's underneath all the other layers, but on top of the top left layer. So I hit Command T, which is free transform, and I'm going to drag my corner up to where he's in the picture. Yeah, I can live with that. Double click on him. And now he's above that, but it's not quite perfect, is it? The top of the image is way out and the bottom of the image is a little bit under. If I hit a clipping mask, Option or Alt, and click between the two lines, you see the arrow, the drop down arrow right there. Or you can go up to your drop down menu up there, create clipping mask, or there is a keyboard shortcut as well. I just do the Option or Alt between the two layers and it clips it in. And you can see it's nice and neat right inside that box. Go to top right, and we will get my fly-eating bird, place in Photoshop. If everything works well, it did. Command T, drag the corner up. Do a Option or Alt click between the two, and we got a clipping mouse. Same thing with the bottom left. I just hit the Command or Control tab to go between the two programs, between Bridge and Photoshop. So we'll do place in Photoshop. And this time I'm going to do a clipping mask first. So we'll do clipping mask, and it's way outside the picture, Command T. And we will drag them in. And the last one I'm going to do a little bit different just to show you a different way to do it. And we'll just double click on him, open him up in Photoshop. And I'll make sure that I'm in, close that. Make sure I have bottom right selected so it goes in. You know, I'm going to screw it up on purpose. So I'm going to have Africa selected by accident. Go back to this guy. We'll drag him in. So hit V for move. The move tool is V. Target is different depth source. Sure, why not? I don't care. And you can see I screwed it up. Oh man. Well, I don't have to go back and do anything. I just have to drag him up on top, hit Command T or Control T for free transform. And let's keep his pretty little beacon there. Hit OK. Option or Alt click between the two layers. And now I have a quick template that I can use forever and ever. So that's the quickest way to do it. We'll hide the guides. So we'll hit clear guides. Guides are gone. If I wanted to, I could add, let's see, top left, double click on the blue area between the layers, and let's do a stroke. And about 85, 95 stroke is perfect in red. There we go. That's perfect, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
No comment.
Okay, let's take it back down to realism.
Don't bring it up on one of my panels, Michael.
What? It's an artist's choice.
Doesn't mean it's the right choice.
Let's take it to, oh man, how about 3? And color, let's take it off the bird. Now I have a stroke around there, 3. And when you do your stroke, it all depends on the size of your image. If you're working at 72 DPI and 4x5, a 4 pixel stroke is going to be huge versus a 300 PPI image where a 3 pixel stroke is just about perfect. I want to add a stroke to all of these. So what I can do is right click on the effects, copy layer style, then go to all of the bottom, right, top, etc. Select them all using the Command or Control key, right click, and paste layer style. And now they all have it in there. That's the fastest way. That way you don't have to redo it every single time.
Ooh.
You're such a genius.
Why, thank you, Mr. Daines. I am a genius. But everybody knew that, right?
Absolutely. Without a doubt, Mike.
Well, thank you, Eleanor. I appreciate that.
Always.
So that's how easy it is to make that. And now that I've got that done, what I can do is Command Shift S. I want to save it as a template. I can't save it as a template. So what I have to do now is I will have to save it as
A copy.
a copy. We'll call this one Bird. And I'll leave it Bird 1, PSD, save, close, Command W to close. Go back to my bridge. And where did I save it at? I thought I was a genius.
I
Okay.
hate it when that happens.
File, open recent, Bird 1, Command Shift S. Where did I save it? Zoom keeps jumping in the way. Wow.
You dropped out of sharing your screen, by the way, also.
Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, Zoom just jumped all over my screen all of a sudden.
I take it
Oh, the
back.
genius went out the door.
Yeah, no kidding. Zoom took care of that. Okay, I'm back in my birds. Command Shift S. And I saved it straight to the January instead of Africa. So that's fine. We'll save it to Africa. Bird 1, Photoshop. It is now saved. Command W to close. Go back to bridge. We have bird 1. So let's change this to a template. Add a T to the end of PSD. So it's PSDT for template. Hit enter. You get the message saying it may not work. A little disclaimer by Photoshop saying I may not work when you do this. It's now a template. So when I open it up, it opens untitled, but that's okay. If I want to add more pictures to it or change pictures, etc., go to bridge. We'll go to computer photos 21 down to Safari somewhere. There it is, Safari, book photos, and we'll add this bird in. So we'll just right click on it and we'll go to place in Photoshop. And he is under this bird here, which is okay. I'll just raise him up. And we'll option click between the two, Command T, drop him in. And for some reason, my clipping mouse got removed from the bottom. I don't know how, but it did. And now you have that in there again. So you can just start doing all the different animals with the same layout if you want to use the same layout, or you can make a new layout and add different things to it. Any questions on that one?
Just, yeah, sort of. I'm looking at your layer there, and you've retained the previous image that you had in that particular corner. So you do have to go back and delete that, I presume.
I can delete it or I can keep building on it. It's just, if I don't delete it, it'll make a huge file later on down the road.
Exactly.
Or I can just turn
And
it
really, the reason for using a template is, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, you could do the same thing with a normal PSD file. The benefit is that there's no way you're going to overwrite your
Correct.
original.
right.
It's going to force you to put a new file rather than risking overwriting.
And what I could have done is, before I saved it as a template, is got all those files, take them out, boom, bye-bye, yes. Okay, I could have saved this as the template and then open it up each time. I just keep the same image open and adding pictures to it and then saving it with a different name as I go.
Mhm.
But yeah, the template basically keeps you from overwriting the same image the first time. If I resave it now with all the images and then keep building on it, I could save it again with the same name and overwrite it, which you got to be careful of. And as you're doing this, you got to keep thinking when you're doing this, because if you're in a hurry, you're going to screw it up big time.
Well, that leads me to kind of a second question as to why not just say the template with the guidelines, because you're going to resize your paste and place image anyway, and that way you wouldn't be layering image over the top of image.
Well,
You
the reason
follow what I'm saying?
the reason I don't just use the guidelines is so I could do a clipping mask and drop them in.
Oh,
That's-
okay. Yeah,
You can either use the frame tool or the shape tool.
I got, yep.
Okay,
Mike,
Okay.
I have a question.
I have an answer, maybe.
When you changed the name to a PSDT, you did it in the name file down at the bottom of the image. Can you do that in the Finder or only in Bridge?
You can let's try. Hang on, I got a visitor I got to get rid of. Sorry, Gizmo.
You see now those cats on the screen? He's thinking buffet.
Okay, let's go to Finder. Open it up. Go to Desktop. Photoshop class. Where's January? There's January. And we'll go to Bird1 PSD. PSDT. Close that, and I'm going to open it Bridge just so I can see, make sure I'm doing different programs to make sure it's going to work. And it changed it to PSD.PSD or PSDT.PSD when I did it in Finder.
So
So
that's for now.
that did not work.
Okay.
Desktop, January 22, Africa. And that's the one I saved as PSDT.
See,
Let's try this one.
doesn't have anything to do with your space, right?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, Untitled 3.psdt. Okay. Well, if I open it this way,
That's what I was gonna say, if you open it from the Finder.
yeah,
comes
it
up-
did the same thing. It says psdt.psd.
Oh,
So it's not, it won't do it that way. I have to do it in Bridge. You might be able to do it on a PC doing it that way.
no, got a Mac.
Yeah.
Okay,
So just change it in Bridge, maybe even Lightroom. I mean,
okay. All right, thanks.
yep.
Hmm.
Any other questions while we're cooking?
I have to watch the first 10 minutes because I missed that.
Oh, way to go.
I know, huh?
Well, we'll do another one then just for fun. Let's do some coppers here. I have a background that I'm going to use. I'm just going to bring it up. And what I did, get rid of that. That was my original texture that I had. So I just brought that up, opened a hue and saturation adjustment layer, changed the hue. Has to be blue because it's coppers. Saturation. And let's go with that. That'll work. And I want to have a spot for his picture by himself. So we will do a you know what I'm going to do differently this time. I am going to use the frame tool, which I don't use very often. And the reason I don't use the frame tool is you can see, or you can't see, the frame that it's going into. I mean, it's really light blue on blue there. And I'm sure you can change the preferences on that. So let's go to this guy here, place in Photoshop. And one of the things about this file, the background is huge. It's 70 some inches, but it's at 72 DPI. So image size. Let's go to inches. 75 inches by 50 inches is 72. Well, I don't want that. Let's go to pixels. Go to 4,000 pixels at 300.
You did 400, not 4,000.
Yeah, I screwed up. I would have noticed that as soon as it's sized. Okay, let's get rid of that image. Goodbye. Got the hue and saturation, so we'll put a frame on there again. And we'll bring them in. Bridge. Right click, place in Photoshop, so you don't have to go through the process of cutting and pasting. And when you try to do a Command T, okay, this one did it. Okay. Actually, no, it didn't. That's the, oh, it did. Okay, never mind. I'm confusing myself because when I clicked on it before, it did the frame and not the person. And we'll do another frame. And then we will add, place in Photoshop. Very easy to do there. And then let's add some text.
Michael, are you putting the picture in first to get your layout, then put the, for the template, or are you going to draw your lines for your template and just fit the picture to the template?
I just fit the picture to the template on this one.
Okay.
And you'll see that the basic law enforcement is barely visible. And I want to change the color on that something fierce. So all I did was hit enter. And then the color up here is some god awful gray. So let's go ahead and get some god awful yellow in there. And we'll say January 2022. I got the year right. I did it.
Good man.
Double click, add a bevel and emboss just for fun. Too much. Drop the depth down to way down there. Size. Drop shadow just for fun to add stuff in there. Outer glow, no. Drop shadow, once you click on drop shadow, you can move the drop shadow by clicking on the shadow and moving it around. So you don't have to use the little arrow down here and all these different sliders. You can just drop it where you want it. Click OK. Hit Option or Alt and drag this down to basic law enforcement. And now they're both in there. The cool thing about the latest versions of Photoshop is when you have a text and you want to change the colors or you want to change the font, you don't have to go into the text tool, double click on the layer or double click on the words or triple click to get the whole thing. You can actually have that text box closed, go up to color, pick the color you want. Click OK. I don't like that text, so I will go to something really good. Yeah, there you go. Top secret. That is perfect. January 22, we can change the color. So let's go to my favorite color, which is blue. Click OK. And we'll do just straight bold, no italic. There, that looks totally professional, doesn't it? Not. But you get the idea. And again, we can do a frame around or a stroke around him. So double click there, or you can hit the FX button down at the bottom. Go to stroke. And you can see that a 3-pixel stroke just barely shows up, and it shows you that he's not inside the frame. So let's hit select him, Command T. There we go. Back to the stroke again. double click on it, bring stroke up. Let's do it so it really shows off. White stroke. 6 point, and nothing happens. So working with a frame is totally different than working with the other way that I did it. Let's do 6 pixels. And we'll do inside. Turn off this stroke. I don't like working with frames that much, so as you can tell, it doesn't work for me. But you can also drop in the same thing. So let's go ahead and go back to bridge. Take the other guy, place in Photoshop. Hopefully he'll place him in the same place in the frame. There we go. Just dropped him in. Just that easy. So you can build a template with frames, or you can do it with the rectangle tool. I like the rectangle tool. It just seems to work better for me. Like, let's say you wanted this a 5x7 on there. So what I would do is click the rectangle tool, go to the top toolbar, width 7, height 5. Let's hide this guy here. That should be a 5x7 if they allow it. Seven by 5. Okay. The reason why I didn't stay 7 by 5 because I didn't have the lock going in between. So click OK. Take this picture. We'll just do it faster this way. Right click, place in Photoshop. Boom, go. Move tool. Command T to transform it in between there. Hit the Option or Alt key in between. And that is weird. So let's do this. Say goodbye. Get rid of the frame to the trash. There we go. Thank you. Option Alt click. And there you have it. So for me, setting up your template is easier using the rectangle tool. Your shape tool, just if you want a different shape for the picture, like if you have a badge shape, you can draw that out and drop him in there so he's inside the badge shape. Also adding a drop shadow or a stroke is so much easier. There's a 6 pixel stroke if you wanted to do that. Well, let's add the drop shadow. Click on effects, drop shadow. Let's go with huge drop shadow, make it look totally professional. Opacity about 80%. There we go. I'm gonna screw it up even more. Click on effects, bevel and emboss. Depth really bad. Size huge. There we go. Wow, that looks so cool. I am so good at this. You can see how bad you can screw it up really fast. So all you have to do is double click on bevel and emboss, drop it back down where it belongs. if you want to bevel. I don't. I changed my mind. Goodbye. Okay.
Hey, Michael,
Yes.
I have a question is where it says basic law enforcement in the background, instead of having yellow, could you use the American flag as in between and the lettering? In other words,
Yes.
like a layer behind it?
You could. Whoops. What happened there is I alt clicked on or option clicked on the T, which brought up that area alone, bring it back to 0. I wanted to command or control click. Oops, that's on January. Never mind. Command D, deselect. Let's go to basic law enforcement and we will command click on the T, which will select those. So I don't have a flag that would work for that size, but if I go to my stock photos, flag, let's drop this one in there. Whoops. Oh, I see what's going on. Okay, let's deselect that for now. And we'll move the flag. Command T, make it bigger. And notice that I just got rid of my top handles for my free transformation. When that happens, your handles disappear, just hit Command or Control 0, and that will bring up the whole thing for you, full
Okay.
size.
Okay.
There we go. And right about there. We'll drop this below. Nope, I'll leave it up on top. I'm going off the top of my head. I haven't done this for a while, so we will hit Command or Control on the letters up there. Leave that there. And then we'll do an Option or Alt click between the two to create a clipping mask. Deselect. And if you have a flag that would fit perfectly, you could move it in there where you want it.
Okay.
So basically you're creating a clipping mask to select that layer underneath it.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Sure does. Thank you.
Okay. Of course, you'd want to have a flag that works the right size and fits in there.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Command T. Yeah, that's not quite the way I envisioned it, but yeah, that's what you would do to do that.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, any other questions? One of the things you'll notice that when I did that in Bridge, I have a folder called stock photos. So if I'm looking for pictures of Yosemite, Yellowstone, Mammoth, Anzo Borrego, animals, I've got anteaters, antelopes, bears, birds, you name it, I've got them in there. And what I try to do is if I get something unusual, I'll put it in my stock file. So if I want to use it later on, I can.
And they're your photos, right?
Those are my photos. 99.9% of them are my photos.
Okay.
If there's a photo that I've downloaded from the internet, from stock photos or whatever the case is, or have permission to use, they go in there as well. And let me share screen again. And let's go here, open. right click, rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise. Just so you can see what it is. And then we'll go to Command, Option, Shift I, which brings up the information on the image. And this is before I started using this, but all the metadata is there. This was shot on a Fuji S2. That tells you how long ago. On 2/11 or 9/11/2002. So let's go ahead and go back. Don't save. Let's go to airplanes. Click OK, open, open, open.
My Photoshop doesn't have verbal commands like that.
Well, I have to talk to it, otherwise I screw it up.
Okay, I just wonder if I need to upgrade somewhere. Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
this is 2023 that I
Oh,
have
okay.
right now. Trying to
It
find.
gets verbal commands, but it probably won't open because of what I say to it.
That's true. It probably won't. If you go to File, File Info, or hit the whole left side of the keyboard, which is Shift Option Command I. And when you load them into Bridge, you can enter all the information in there as a template. And every time you upload an image from your camera, it will put in their author, Michael Collins, copyright notice, 2022. You can put more information in there as well. The data from the camera. So if you're looking to see what you shot it at, and then all the other information, then you can go to the raw data, which is computer gobbledygook. I've got no idea what it says. So, but all the information is in there every time you load it in there.
Now, can somebody take your photograph and do the same thing and look up the information that you have?
Yes. That's why I put that in there, so they know that it's copyrighted, blah, 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 but they can also strip it as well if they know what they're doing.
So they
So
can
they
change that. Okay.
Yeah, they
So they can verify that it was you that actually photographed with your equipment.
I had a guy appropriate one of my images off of Facebook, took my logo off of the image and claimed it as his own.
I think I remember that. Wasn't that a couple
I'm
years
sorry,
ago?
Michael.
That was a couple years ago. I had a little chat with him and asked him very nicely to take it down. He told me what he could do with it, or what I could do with it. Then I also pointed out that my file info is on there, all my copyright information. You're violating my copyright, blah, blah, blah. He called me a few choice names and took it off his Facebook page. I don't mind sharing my images as long as you keep my logo on there. I'm happy.
I got in that dispute years ago with a web designer that was using my images for her commercial real estate clients and insisted that she had taken them herself. And I said, well, that's interesting. When we get to court, I'm going to produce the film, because that was pre-digital and I was still shooting film then. So I had the negatives.
Yeah, show me the negative, what you got there, lady.
Yeah, that settled that right there in the spot.
Yeah, some people just don't have a sense of humor about that, and I'm not one of those. I don't have a sense of humor. Just as a reminder, I will be teaching Photoshop 0 to 60 in a week at West Coast School in June 15th to the 12th.
Coming up quick.
Coming up very quick. And then 2 weeks later, I may, not sure yet, haven't signed a contract, be teaching at East Coast School in North Carolina 2 weeks after West Coast School.
Hmm.
So, and I'm going to be speaking at the Professional Photographers of Idaho convention coming up in April.
Oh.
Talking about Photoshop as well.
Oh. And that is that over there in your neighborhood?
That's over there in my neighborhood, Meridian, the
I might
Boise
just
area.
come out. I just might come out there.
You should. It's well worth it.
Yeah, it's only a 4-hour drive.
That's nothing. Dennis, how far is it for you?
4.5.
So you'd beat Dennis here.
Yeah, I'll have coffee.
Where in North Carolina, Mike?
Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina, in that area.
Okay.
I think it's Raleigh.
Okay.
And I'm also teaching out there as well. I'm doing a week-long landscape class, and then I'm doing a pre-con on print comp. So I'll be out there for a week. Well, Sherry and I will both be out there doing the class.
North Carolina? Okay.
Gonna be a fun week out there, and maybe not as fun as West Coast school, but definitely fun though.
Are you,
All
Sure, you'll make it fun. Take
We'll
some
try.
tequila.
hey, Dennis, are you planning to come back out to Washington to do a landscape photography at all?
If they invite me back, I mean, I'm planning on maybe doing some of my own things, but I don't know if they'll invite me back because we just did one this last year, but I'd love to come back up and do again another one for them.
No, if you do one on your own, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Well, Sherry and I have already got some things in the works, probably in the Palouse this spring and one in the late summer.
That'd be
Ooh.
nice. Real nice.